Richard Soper is president of Bosch Thermal Technologies North America. Richard joined Worcester Heat Systems Limited as a sales and marketing director in 1993, and in 2001 became managing director of Bosch Thermal Technology Limited in the United Kingdom. In 2012, Richard became regional president of thermal technology for Robert Bosch North America division, accountable for the performance of 500 associates, and is based in Londonderry, New Hampshire, but he lives in Boston if you want to go see him. Richard was awarded the CBE for services to the heating and renewable technologies industry in the Queen's Birthday Honor List, received at a February 2013 ceremony in Buckingham Palace. Richard Soper.
Well, thanks very much, Chris. That's, oh, I better just pull down. You're taller than me.
Okay. I won't say that to you.
Thanks very much, Chris. Thanks very much indeed. Well, firstly, just for a little bit of background to me, just so you know, I'm still actually related to the same company almost I started 40 years ago, or started with. And just for a little background, I started as a heating engineer. So that's a bit of background about me. By the way, just a bit of, if you get a bit confused when I speak with, if I use an H at all in the word, I drop my H's, so put them in occasionally and if you get a bit miscommunicate with. But first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
That's great. Okay. I'm going to put these on a little bit to make me look a little bit better in the camera. First of all, thanks very much to IGSHPA and also members, ladies and gentlemen, for it's a great pleasure to be here in many ways, and hopefully during the next 2 hours and 43 minutes during my presentation, that will become very apparent. I think, thank you. I think the most important thing really is that it's a great pleasure to be here and the opportunity, of course, on behalf of Bosch Thermal Technology North America. Also, especially grateful on this occasion, being able to speak to so many of you who've been such an integral part of the geothermal market and what's just been actually spoke about over the last 30 minutes. But at the end of the day, you, and in particular the installer, contractor, and the professional, who are the leaders in our industry in the geo side, have got us to where we are at the moment in the heat pump industry. And this, of course, as you know, this is our second consecutive year for being here as the Platinum Supporter, and obviously very, very proud of that. We're also very, very proud in particularly the sponsorship, because we can demonstrate particularly the commitment, commitment and dedication that we want to put within your association or within our association as we further develop. And I think we're going to use this quite a bit about our time is now, and we should take that time. And there's a few more words maybe, Jack, I'm going to use of yours a bit later to steal your thunder later. I think the first thing, though, we should just start a little bit of the thing, because I'm a believer, a big believer in it, is that just to see a test and just to make sure a bit of exercise. We've been here for 30 minutes. And what I'd like you to do is just to get a feel. We've talked about the newcomers here, but I think we should get a feel for who is a geo person at home. Okay? So all those who've had geo in their home for more than 20 years, could you stand up? Okay? All those more than 15 years. All those more than 10 years. All those more than 5 years. And all those since 5 years. Now look around you. Think of the United States. If we managed to convert as many consumers' homes in that percentage, Jack, where would we be? 30%. I think a bit more. 40%.
That's even better.
That's even better. Thanks very much indeed. And can we just give everybody a round of applause? Thanks very much indeed for doing that for me. So, as we expected, we're seeing that this association here is the vanguard to see us go forward into the future. And I think because we at Bosch, and we believe sincerely about this, is that we have a major part to play in that role. And I took the words of the Dean quite a bit, really, because I'm changing a few of my words as I go through, because the Dean is very succinct in what the efforts have got to be in the future of Expo. It's not what we do internally, it's what we do externally. And we're one of the best kept secrets. And in marketing is about that you've got to spread that word, and it's got to be proven to the consumer or the investor that it's a good deal. The return on investment is right, number one, and also that we, on the other hand, are doing something which is very special for our world. And I think that's a very important message for us all. And I think whatever I talk about in the future, I want to really focus particularly and mention our children, because they're the ones who will actually make the change for us. And those who've got children or grandchildren, you'll know exactly what I mean within that. So we believe that geothermal is the answer, reducing our dependency on fossil fuel to recapture a cleaner and healthier environment, achieve real sustainability, and I'm going to mention that in a few minutes, based on exhaustible source of renewable energy. And of course, we've all been on our feet this morning, and that's where that source comes from, so we know it's there for a long time in front of us. Providing comfortable heating, cooling, and hot water. And I think this is another very important point. Comfort is what I'm after in my family unit. It's not about just reducing the cost, or at the end of the day, you want a comfortable heating and cooling that gives you what you want in your domestic arena, or in reality, if it's within your workplace, etc. As far as the worldwide company, that's what we do. So if you look at our business, we deliver this range of highly engineered products and services throughout the world. That's our challenge wherever you go. And I think from last year, for those who are here, and just a very brief overview, we are a foundation. We employ over 300,000 people, and our aim in life is to reduce the carbon effect on the world. No matter whether we sell a product or whether we make it, that's our endeavors of our business. So to put in perspective, our heritage is pretty long. In the heating side, we've been going, don't forget the H, the heating side, we have been going for 262 years in a company called Buderus, which is part of the Bosch company, and Bosch has been going for 127 years. So that's quite an heritage of what we're investing into the world, and of course our investment into North America. Recognizing the potential for geothermal heat pump technology, we came along to a company called FHP a few years ago in 2006. And that's where I first met Chris in the luxurious Fort Lauderdale office. And we got to know each other almost within the first week, I suppose, because I was on holiday here. We bought this company, and I thought I'd pop in and see what we'd bought. That's where it started. I think we have to recognize, we mentioned earlier a little bit, that actually FHP had started, I'm told, in 1969. Correct. So we've got 50 years coming in just over 5 years' time, so we've got a bit of a party coming, hopefully, in the very near future. And I think it's very important, the reason why we actually went into heat pumps was that we saw this, both in Europe as well as in North America, a change, a new opportunity for us, particularly for both residential and commercial properties. What would it bring to the arena? And we made that investment, we believed, as a game changer for our industry. However, as we know, unfortunately, that's not quite got there, and that's something I want to talk about. So the potential in this room, and get this gathering of us, we're the leaders of the geothermal, we're the ones who have to make it happen, and for our part, we intend to work with you for the geo market, and how do we sustain that growth. We will serve with you. That's what we're here for, work with you, work in every aspect, because it's not just about product, it's about the added value that surrounds the product. And I come from a country where we introduced new technology in the late 60s, very, very similar, and it now is 80% of the market, and it was done because of dedication, commitment, and proving to the consumer and the investor that it's right for them, both in the pocket, but also from the comfort perspective. We recognize the obstacles and the greater acceptance of geothermal heat pumps from a decade or more ago, and the same obstacles, unfortunately, are still in front of us. Therefore, we at Bosch have the vision that geothermal will in fact become one of the standards for delivering comfort and energy efficiency, both nationally and, as I've already mentioned, internationally. Our goal is to significantly expand the industry from its base. And the argument is that we're about 1% to 2% of that base market in North America. Therefore, we've got a long way to go to accomplish but that's an exciting future if we all believe. And not just in premium commercial buildings or high-end designer homes, but where Geo is already making an impact, but also in institutional facilities across the continent. Education is the key to this expansion. Education, education, education. And to steal one of Jack's words, we've all got to, I believe. And that's why it's so important sometimes that you have it inside your own property, so you can lead by example. We must reach out and educate consumers and stakeholders at all levels about geothermal, what it is, how it works, what are the benefits. It's part of our lives. There's a very good example which you're going to see over today, which is an example of a school in Texas in a place called Irvine, which was a job done by Don Penn. I ask you to go along and listen. It's incredible. I'm going off script a little bit here. I went there 2 weeks ago and I was wowed. Not that it was geothermal, because the way it was done to educate not just the young people, but to educate anybody that walks inside that building. The Texas Independent School District created the nation's largest net zero school using the assortment of green technologies. So in other words, there is wind and solar center there. There's an energy efficiency lighting and appliances. There's water recycling and waste regeneration. And of course, Don's system, the geothermal. It's all on show. It is not hidden behind walls. They put it out in front of all of us so we'd be able to see that product. And I'd ask you all, if you're down in Texas, go and have a look at it. If you're there for a Cowboy game, just pop along. It's not far away to actually see it working in progress. All these technologies are being used to conserve and reduce the uses by 2/3 of the revenue and allow the school district to invest the savings in the services offered, and that puts money back into the students. And I know this very well personally. I'm a governor of 2 schools in the UK. Our biggest problem is we have very few pennies left over to put back into the students because our money is tied up into the utilities, into the staff, and it becomes more and more difficult. We need to release that money and be able to put it back into our children's lives. Here, the students are receiving hands-on demonstration, life lesson that will showcase these technologies, the systems can improve comfort, impact on climate change, and create jobs for them in the future. And that's another very important thing, create jobs. We asked the question when we were there 2 weeks ago of one of the teachers, what's it like working in this school? She says the environment for the children is perfect for them to learn. And I think that's another part. If your environment's good, you're a much happier person in your life. And that's what Geo is brought for those young people and the teachers that work within it. So therefore, through education and outreach, we can grow the market for geothermal heat pumps. We are already seeing more consumer press paying attention to our technologies. After all, the potential, has already been stated by other speakers, is absolutely enormous. To grow the geo market, we, and I use the big we word, this assembly must serve as the principal change agent. There is nobody else, it's us that has to do that change. And working together, we can get it done. And we at Bosch are committed to support you in those endeavors. Why are we so confident of this? Why can we accomplish what others have imagined and worked for but couldn't achieve? Building on hard work and process that has been made in the industry, believe it comes down, and I'm coming back to your word, Jack, timing. Timing is what it's all about. In business, as in life, timing can mean that special thing that makes it happen. Here are some of the major circumstances and influences that we believe set the stage for breakthrough for geothermal in our country. Firstly, the relentless focus on energy efficiency. You can feel it, you can taste it, it's hard work, but we're moving towards it. Even with the new sources of carbon-based energy coming online, energy efficiency is here to stay, both mandated and supported with certain initiatives by government and now starting to be demanded by the consumer. Number 2, reduction in dependence on fossil fuel energy supplies. Carbon-based energy sources are environmentally damaging, and as we have all experienced, they can be very price sensitive to the geopolitical instability. Plus, despite newly discovered sources, they require even more labor and technology to bring them to the surface, which affects the prices in the long run. And fossil fuels are ultimately infinite. And by the way, we need to conserve them so we can use them over a much longer period as we find other ways to secure our world for the future. And fossil fuels are ultimately, as we've said, finite. Thirdly, changing government, industry, and consumer attitudes. As I've already stated, government mandates initially are heading towards greater energy efficiency, achieving through better technology and development of renewables. There is a greater environmental consciousness, and I think this is also important than ever before, prompted and sustained by consumers who are ever more aware and concerned about the environmental damage. And I think I just want to put a little bit of an advertisement in. The ones that can help us are our children. Go to the schools and listen to what they are actually learning. They're in front of us already. And they learn much quicker than we can ever do. And I think this is really important for us, is the children will make those changes for us if we, and which we should do, is guide them and direct them in the right ways. Therefore, people are becoming more concerned about the environmental damage caused by burning carbon fuels and seeking lower energy bills. There are people who are looking to make a difference in their own lives and will become champions of geothermal once they are introduced into it. And I do really ask IGSHPA, really, it's the ambassadors, and I said to Jack last night, you need to form and get more champions that can go out. And the people who are the champions are the ones who eat, breathe, and sleep why geothermal is so perfect for our world. The green sustainable movement. The movement is now going mainstream. We see it everywhere we go. In fact, I'm just going to use a little bit back to the school. At the school we saw in Texas, they didn't waste any water or anything off waste food or even off cardboard. Every bit of water was drained, put into tanks so it could be spread over the flowers. All the waste food was crushed, and then it was used for fertilizer to go and grow the flowers. So in every effort, and by the way, it was cost-effective the way that it was actually done. I think that's a very important thing, is the return on investment. Therefore, the influence is much more to the end-user decision, small or large, as we pass each and every month. The green movement is a major marketing power, and I think that's where we must come. The rise of the green developer is upon us. And with the housing market on the rebound, builders, developers are open to geo in their new plan developments. They're appealing to the eco-conscious home buyer who want to save energy, reduce carbon footprint, long-term investment. We don't move so often in our properties these days. We're looking to stay a little bit longer, so investment is very worthwhile. And they're also partnering with developers of green communities who want to build sustainability development in harmony with the natural surroundings. And some of you may already know that we at Bosch have already supporting Serembe, a 1,000-acre residential and farming community that actively promotes the use of renewable forms like solar, like geothermal in homes, and also offices being developed. And that Serembe Centre is in Georgia, no more than about 30 minutes away from the airport. So we have actually invested in building an experience centre for the consumer, the architect, the builder, the developer, to see all Bosch products, not just our geothermal, but the investment into our other products like Bosch white goods, our diesel products, etc., etc. So it's a complete experience of all our products in working inside the experience centre. As you'll be pleased to note, I'm coming close to my end. But I want to mention now maybe one of the most important movements for us in our industry. And that's the rise of the geothermal utility. We mentioned, and it was spoken about, is this big issue on the issue of return on investment. The high-performance homes now being built will eventually track down to a price level a new home buyers can afford. In other words, we have to get to the $200,000 home, especially in new build, as well as, don't forget, the challenge of getting into the retrofit as well. We know the biggest single impediment to geothermal is the first cost of ground loop. We need to engage with the utility industry and other third-party investors, and this is really important, is that they need to become our allies in an effort by owning and leasing GeoLoop to the end user. Removing that cost from the end user will make the decision to install Geo much easier. Going Geo will be more practical as a decision and long-term return on investment, particularly with the predicted energy-saving returns. We see electric utilities, especially in many rural cooperatives around the country. And on the entering of the GeoLoop business, in fact, utility startup companies are forming and working specifically with developers, developments, and subdivisions. This is a new business model, and it's going to be a major game changer for our industry. As this model expands, we will get momentum in North America, getting Geo business to a new stream of revenue and a way to help the ratepayers to save on energy. And it is these utilities that are in the best position to undertake and execute the conversion business on a large-scale basis. And that brings you to this continuation of federal and state tax credits. The current federal tax credit remains in place till 2016. We all know that, and it's a date in our diary of what will be the effect. I would say this: we have to find answers. We shouldn't rely on tax credits in the long term, because what we're looking for is that Geo becomes is a standard and not a niche. And I think this is really important. We've got 2.5 years to get our act together. So, Dean, if there's one message I can pass back to you to go back, this is one of the big areas that we have to work continuously at and tackle and win. Therefore, the tax credits clearly assist in going to Geo by offsetting some of the upfront costs. Obviously, all of us benefit by having the credits in place. What we must make sure that we now work with the legislative representatives that know we want to extend the tax credit, but in reality, we have to find a game changer that we could do without it. That's the way we must endeavor to go. Plus, out-promote the cleanest and most efficient form of renewable energy, which we're well aware it's available to us, and they create jobs. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've said a lot of things, and in a way, a lot of things I've supported, a lot what the Dean has already stated. We've got a lot of things which are very positive happening right now and creating momentum, and as Jack said, it's our time. We know we're in the right business at the right time. We know we offer the best solution, providing low-cost energy to heat and cool and hot water within this continent. Bosch will continue to deliver the best products and services we can design, we can engineer and manufacture, and we can support through its life into the consumer or into the investor. We will support you at every turn in the classroom. Education is the key. Education is the key, and education is the key. We will work with you to advance your businesses, and as already been stated, when you make a return on your investment, profit is a good word because you can then reinvest again. But in working with you, we need to learn. We need to learn from what is needed and what the feedback is in our products and services. We need to hear from you not just what the good things are, but also, unfortunately, the bad things. We need to make sure that the consumer, the investor, always gets a good deal. Always gets a good deal. And that means that in any information that we as an industry give out, I applaud again, through Expo, you must always use the same platform of information. So we all talk the same words to our, whether it's a consumer or whether it be through to an investor. But in the very near future, we will not be talking about a niche. We need that taken out of our dictionary. We would rather talk about geothermal heat pumps being an accepted standard, widely implemented within the building spectrum. The circumstances and the momentum are there for geo. Our time has come. This is the future. Collectively, we are the change agents, and we will make it happen. Together, we will make the decision now. On behalf of Bosch Thermotechnology, I'd like to turn to Expo. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to say these few words. I would also like to say thank you all to the people who work with me, and that's all the staff of Bosch. So I'd like them to stand up, if they would, all the Bosch team here. There's a few of us. But I'd also like to tell you something. As I finish, I always like to finish on a bit of good news. And I was telling Chris yesterday, September is the best month in production we have had since we've owned FHP. So I thank all my colleagues at Bosch. They had a great month. Just keep them coming. And thank all of you for listening to my words. And good luck. Please, if you've got any questions for me, I'll be around the rest of the day. And if we can help you, you've only got to ask. Thanks very much indeed.